After the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Jane Elliott, a third-grade teacher at Riceville Elementary School in Iowa, decided to run an experiment with her class to explain the concept of racism to her all-white students. In the study, the teacher divided her class into two groups of blue eyes or brown eyes. Over the course of 2 days, one group was assigned to be the superior, or given special privileges and promoted to discriminate against the inferior. On the first day, the blue eyes were superior, and the brown-eyed the inferior. The teacher began to discriminate against the brown-eyed students, and the blue-eyed quickly followed. The blue-eyed grouped up and collectively bullied the brown-eyed students in various ways, like stating that they got math problems wrong because they had brown eyes, or would exclude them from their groups. Eventually, the brown-eyed students were forced to sit in the back of the class and wear collars to show their inferiority. The next day, the roles were reversed. However, instead of bullying the blue-eyed students back, the brown-eyed were much nicer to their former bullies. This is because they knew what it was like to be the inferior. This study showed that, quote, prejudice is not innate, but is instead taught and learnt through social conditioning, unquote. This film, Blue Eyes, Brown Eyes, was first broadcast on PBS and is still used in classrooms to this very day. Although this study focuses on the nature of racism and discrimination, it has the same topics that I'm discussing today: tribalism. In order to explain tribalism, I will firstly define what a tribe is and the many intended benefits of membership in one. Second, I'll take off my roses and glasses and speak about how our tribes are actually burning bridges between us. And finally, I'll show you how we can all look over our walls and live in a better world where our tribes don't rip us apart. But in order to understand tribalism, we firstly need to know what a tribe is. Many suitable examples include friend groups, sports teams, clubs, party politics, religion, gender, different sides of any large disagreement ever, even the different speech and debate teams at this very tournament. They're all groups formed over some kind of common ground. So, just what can our tribes do for us? The organization RLS states that they offer group, being the foundation for social connection. A psychologist named Arash Jabmbach states that they are an inherent part of human history and are key in teaching us our society. Calm, commonly focused on psychology and mindfulness, states that they are big players in how we take action, connect with others, and form confidence in our beliefs. These all point to the same idea that our tribes connect us over shared values. And our club is bonding over how they love art. Sports teams bond over the sport they share. Political parties bond over similar beliefs, etc. This offers us community and strength in numbers. As someone in speech, I can tell you that by having people all around me working together as my peers, role models, coaches, seniors who have been in speech for 4 years now, all serve to make the perfect environment that humans need for survival. Our tribes are the glue that can hold all of it together. Moreover, our tribes give us identity. Michael Verkuden, a professor at interdisciplinary science and the former academic director of the European Research Center for Migration and Ethnic Relations, states that identity in groups is key to developing us as people in the way that instills values and morals into us, giving us a sense of belonging. As humans, we understand this world in categories, and with our tribes, we put ourselves in categories and give ourselves labels to explain our identity. But our tribes aren't all sunshine and rainbows. Ironically enough, they often serve as the number one thing that rips us apart. This stems from an issue with our mentalities. Our tight-knit groups often hate each other. What I'm talking about here are the in and out of group biases. That is, those who are in your tribe and those who are out of your tribe. We all tend to be pretty biased against the out group. In the blue and brown eye study, the in group would discriminate against and demonize the out group. Political parties shun each other in the same way, by demonizing the out group. A psychologist named David Lopez wrote about this exact phenomenon. He highlighted the way that, in order to demonize the out group, we reduce them to some kind of stereotype or an imaginary idea. For example, the blue-eyed could bully the brown-eyed because they saw them as nothing more than the stereotype that they were lesser in their eye color. One of the main things to consider here are echo chambers. Arash Jabmbach wrote another article about echo chambers, in which he shares a story of how he was once interacting with fitness content on social media. And eventually, the social media algorithms kept giving him more and more and more and more fitness content until it was his entire feed, forming an echo chamber. When we get to topics with much more divide, such as party politics, our echo chambers begin to be based more and more upon the hatred of the outgroup more than anything else. Just go on any social media platform, search for a controversial political stance, and you will see my exact point. Better yet, think of those one blank versus 25 blank debate videos. Another psychologist named David Ropek wrote about how this is all impacted by fear. To paraphrase him, our fear of some big, scary outgroup creates an us versus them mentality. And that fear is often manufactured by none other than echo chambers. An article on ecology.com examines the blue and brown eye study, and it has a message that summarizes everything I just told you. Social conditioning was key in creating discrimination between the two groups. All these ideas compile into modern events, and we can see tribalism on full display. Recently, a very popular right-wing figurehead was assassinated. We can see, on one hand, people who have been radicalized, demonizing the victim and those who had to watch it, without considering the effects of normalizing political assassination on society. And on the other, we see people who demonize anyone who didn't agree with the victim, assuming they support assassination. When I say that tribalism can control us, I mean it. Growing up, I would have fit right into the blue and brown eye study. I was very hateful and intolerant of people who wanted to express themselves in ways that were different than me. I found them to be weird, illogical, or just plain dumb. I had my own little tribal echo chamber that ran off of hating the outgroup. Of course, I saw the people that I was hating as nothing more than imaginary ideas, nothing more than stereotypes, nothing more than blue or brown eyes. That study I keep mentioning paints a pretty sad picture of tribalism. That to reject and demonize the outgroup is simply how society is structured. That hatred is learned and then deep-seated into who we are. But my story has a happy ending. One day, instead of doing all that, I decided to just go and talk to the outgroup, to look into their tribe. And what I saw was not the enemy that I was convinced existed, but instead, just people. Ross Johmbach has another quote that perfectly sums this up. To quote him, "If people spent time with each other, talked to them, and ate with them, we'd all realize that we're the same. Human beings with strengths and weaknesses. Some are strong, some are weak, some are funny, some are dull, some are nice, and some not so nice." In the fighting between our tribes, we never actually take the time to stop and to think about each other and to talk to each other outside of the issues that are at hand. If we did, we would most certainly be able to put all of that aside. We could go see a movie together, go on a hike together, go get food together, go make art together, literally anything but argue with each other, and we would realize that we are both human. Maybe you'd wind up like me, and you'd find yourself in many of the tribes that you had once hated. United by our tribes and divided by our tribalism. Society has been united and divided, and now we see the disastrous effects of large-scale tribalism. But it doesn't have to be this way. We don't need to fear assassinations, political violence, or being shunned from your family for a belief. We're all more than our labels, more than our blue or brown eyes. Talking to others completely shatters the imaginary ideas of them that we have in our head. I understand that it can be difficult to do, especially if they think they are mentally ill or stupid, but we have to. Because if we don't, we'll never be able to accept that we're all more than our beliefs. And if we can't overcome that, then we never overcome tribalism. And if we can't overcome tribalism, then, well, things will simply never get better. But again, there is a very simple solution to all of this. We just need to talk. Thank you for your time.